Welcome back to another episode of Across the Case from the Jewelry Sales Academy. Thank you for tuning in. If you're watching this from a store or anything, this one's not live because today we're not in our studios either. We're with Stuller in Lafayette, Louisiana. And I've got to say, Zach's going to be jealous because the production quality is probably going to be better than it ever has been. But we're at the Bridge event, and this is an event that Stuller puts on for retailers and other people within the industry to come in and see actually what makes Stuller so special. And I can't tell you, we've been here for one day, and it's just amazing to see the operations, and it's all been put together in one lifetime. And I've got to tell you, I'm a little bit biased because I've met you before, but the speech this morning was all over the state of the industry, strategies, and it's something powerful coming from Stuller because you all get data, analytics, and real-world experience that nobody else in the industry gets. And so I'm joined today with Mr. Harold. And Harold is over strategic analysis with Stuller. And the story of how you got here was hilarious to me, that you were basically over two different departments, which are huge in itself. And you said, when this came up, you said, hey, this is my area.
The analytics. Yeah, at the time, analytics were done kind of decentralized in the organization. And so we had kind of the fox in the hen house reporting on themselves, and we wanted to centralize things. And we needed to expand the analytics to a broader picture, to industry, economics, things of that nature and all. So I slid right into that role approximately 10 years ago.
Yeah, and I couldn't imagine there's no better person to be able to get the numbers from than Stuller. Because, I mean, I couldn't imagine what percentage of actually jewelry stores within the nation have accounts with Stuller and that you were fulfilling orders from. And some of the things you talked about this morning were just incredible. And what I really got from it is, I love how you said it was a logical industry, because it's not based on just the products and things like that. But you had some pretty good information on there talking about how you're not so into the doom and gloom of the industry.
There's always two sides to the coin, and I try to find the sunny side, since the trade media and really the mainstream media tends to sell more with negative news. So there's always two sides, and two sides that affect the jewelry industry that we're in. And we're blessed to be in an industry that celebrates all the memories and lifetime events, milestones of people's lives. So it's really a unique industry.
Well, I mean, I think everybody who attended that meeting this morning was so great, and we'll put some more slides and things on that afterwards because you had some great information. And one of the biggest things that's on there is, to me, was how big of an impact we ourselves have on the outlook that we have. And the fact is that the economic environment looks great. It's really up to us being in front of that consumer and going through there and making sure that we're energetic, we're giving them emotional time or an experience, and really pushing those products to go through that.
Yeah.
And you had something today that really kind of lined out everything that I guess had been floating around my head, but there were three main categories that are recession-proof.
First one, obviously, is bridal, because love doesn't take a vacation when recessions hit. It permeates. The second one, at least from my seat, is services that involves repair, appraisals, anything that's service related, custom work, etc. And the third is, I'm drawing a blank.
Okay, so we had services, we had bridal,
custom,
and custom.
Thank you.
There we go. He's the one that's been paying attention.
He's the one paying attention. Yeah, custom. So the three categories of bridal, services, and custom, each unique in their own way, but they fit the void that perseveres through bad time.
So one thing that you really pushed on there too is that I think what I really took away from this is you started talking about repairs services being traffic builders in the stores.
Yes, very.
And it was really cool there too, because to me, bridal and services are some of the first times we get new customers. And in jewelry, that's the whole game, is how can you get new customers and how can you retain them, which you talked about today. And what was it? There was a number that's 40% of repairs, 40% of traffic comes in from repairs and services.
Yeah, it depends on the volume of the store. It's a graduating number. It goes down as the volume goes up. Obviously, higher volume stores get in the branded sector, and they get in the luxury watches and all. But even in a small $2 million store, you can generate about 45% of your traffic from your service side. So I like to call it the yin and the yang of diamonds. Diamonds could be maybe 4% of your traffic driving half of your revenue, but service is just the opposite. So in essence, the better your service business is, the more diamonds you will sell in the end.
what are some of the recommendations you would have for really building a repair business or service? And I want to preface this, a lot of retailers, even us included at one point, really treated services as secondary to selling. And so it really, you almost devalue your service side just to move more product out the door. But what your research has shown is like, hey, these services are bringing in more first-time customers and retaining those customers long term.
That's not unusual, William. That's been the mantra for years since I've been in the industry over 40 years ago. And services can set you apart from big box retailers that sell fine jewelry. It's what I call your unique selling proposition. As I stated this morning, product closing rate generally nationally somewhere between 30 and 40% of traffic coming in your store, while services, on the other hand, is somewhere between 90% and 95%. So services is not about price, it's about trust. And studies have shown any client that's bringing jewelry and leaving it at your business of operation has a much higher trust level, and the loyalty factor goes up exponentially over the years. Mm-hmm. So it's a great benefit.
I mean, talking about that, I know, mail fraud, different things like that, packages being stolen. I was talking to a retailer a few weeks ago, and he had a package stolen, and his exact words were, "Thank God it was just inventory and it wasn't customers."
Yes.
Because that's irreplaceable, exactly what you're talking about there. But, Stuller offers massive resource. You hear a lot about, okay, well, I can't grow my services because I don't have a repair jeweler. I don't have access to all these different things. Stuller offers all these things here in Lafayette, which we were touring around the facilities earlier for classes, for resources for jewelers, and all things like that also.
Yes, we have some education classes with laser training, stone setting, and that curriculum has been expanding over the last 5 years and will continue to expand. We try to give back as much as we can to the industry, and this is a way that we do it.
Yeah, and I love Stuller's philosophy too on getting it quick and getting it back and forth. I mean, getting toward the operations. We were just we left the tour out of the shipping department to come over here. But seeing how those things go, and the coolest thing about it is that the customer service doesn't just stop on the front counter, because the cool thing about it is seeing if you're in retail and you're working on the sales floor, you're always working on promising that product, getting there correctly, and just seeing how the coolest thing to me was the whole alignment of the company, everything that goes through there, and that service that we offer on the front counter is here too.
Yes. Service is the bedrock of the company. It was instilled by Matt at the beginning back in 1970, and for 51 years, it's just gotten stronger. That's the purpose of working here, to serve somebody, the customer primarily, but even our fellow associates here in the building, because we can, as a team, do better for our customer base.
Right. Well, you had a couple really cool points you brought up that kind of blew my mind this morning. One was the engagement sales in the holiday season. Can you expand on that a little bit more? Is that something that's more recent, or is that how things have been?
No, it's been trending like that for a couple of years. And the slide showed engagement ring sales by month through the year, relatively flat between January and November, and a huge spike in December. And I'd contrasted that over to the weddings throughout the year, and it's a different curve. Weddings now, May and June used to be the biggest time of the year, and now it's in second place with the fall weddings. September, October occupying about 29% of the complete year. So two different businesses, slightly different behavior, but it's really underneath the same bridal business.
Mm-hmm. I thought that was just unbelievable. I mean, the big takeaways for me this week, and especially the talk this morning, is that all the economic factors there for the industry, maybe not to grow like it has been in the past, but at least to stabilize, maybe gain a little bit of ground out there too. And realistically, seeing those bridal numbers trend the way that they are, and the different times that people try and sell, that I think that was such a big thing to me on the bridal numbers and the engagements being sold in the holiday season, because the majority of kind of advertisements that you see out there in the industry is mainly on Christmas sales tax included, selling diamond fashion. I mean, that's what we've thought before. And then kind of being armed with that information that, engagements are a big thing to happen here, that the fall weather is a big time for
weddings.
Yeah, engagements. And then it's not just a June and July time going through there.
Right.
And then those repairs and services. If I was a new retailer or a retailer with a smaller service area, what are some of the areas you would say that I should grow, not just to grow revenue, but maybe to grow my customer base also?
Well, if you're just starting, I'd spend your dollars on the service side of the business, because that's the trust side. And once you accommodate a customer and take care of their jewelry, which is different than any other personal property they own. It's sentimental, it's milestones in life. So once you take care of that need and satisfy, they're guaranteed to come back to you when they need to purchase something. So it's really, I think it's been an underutilized part of the jewelry industry for many, many years. And we even see some of the big box guys going after that repair business.
Yeah.
So I would highly recommend to all independents to look at what you can do to remove any friction in your repair service business, because it's the way to really gain market share in your particular area.
Well, that's one thing we look at. I think for our company, it costs us $48. Or before 2 or 3 years ago, it cost us about $48 to get a new customer in. And by far, like you said, 40% of that new traffic, regardless of that marketing campaign, is going to be brought in for services. And then if you can go in with a good, a good pricing for services and a good turnaround from that, you're taking something that cost you $48 and possibly making it turn the other way. And then, especially, I mean, most of our sales for our salespeople come from clienteling on repairs, making sure that those things are done, and then setting up an appointment and coming back in.
Yeah, you could even take simple things like chain repair, something real simple, and market it at a reduced rate. It's unbelievable what traffic will come in your store, and you'll get a lot of first-time customers that's never been in your operation. And if they're satisfied with the results in a repair, they'll be back when they need product.
Another thing that you talked about too, while we're finishing up here, is that something that you really caught me off guard recently, virtual try-on was coming up and really growing. And not that I haven't heard of that, and not that I wouldn't assume that it was, but that was a big portion that's growing also.
Yeah, and that comes from the Knott's research, which is probably the most valid research you can find in the upcoming bride market. And I think the number exactly was like 26 or 28% of the brides purchased their engagement ring as a result of a virtual try-on, which was a surprise to me too. I was aware of it, but didn't realize that it penetrated the market to that level.
Right. I mean, what we've seen a lot is that, e-commerce sales and the kind of like the Amazon style, where it's just the product, pictures, and the information, and then an add to cart button, hasn't done well. But if you can extend that experience out, specifically virtual try-on, and then going even, we've seen great success with Podium, text to chat, all these different programs and things like that, and extending that sales floor out there.
Well, the virtual try-on is, think about it, it's really part of the custom umbrella. It's personalization. So when the bride-to-be can see that ring on her hand, it's quite different than just looking at the flat screen piece of a ring. It starts to create the emotional attachment. It's like any custom piece you do for a customer. They get involved in the design and the concept and all. They're yours. They're for life.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing to me, is that, I think in custom it really highlights it to where you have to go through and understand that customer and ask them the questions about what their lifestyle's like, what are their hands going to be doing while they're wearing this piece. And that's been synonymous in every single retailer that's been here, is just saying their custom's growing.
Yeah, sometimes we're in the business and we tend to forget the very strong emotional attachment that the consumer has to their jewelry. There's stories on every piece a woman wears, so it's unlike, and I said it this morning, it's unlike any other product in the luxury category. There's none that behaves like jewelry does. I don't care, LVMH, bag, you name the product, and it's nowhere close.
Man, is there any advice or anything you would like to say about where Stuller's going, where you see the industry going, or what we should focus on as retail jewelers?
Well, Stuller's just trying to continue what we've set the legacy on, and trying to continuous improvement is our motto. We come to work every day to serve the customers and to make you guys hero. That's really why we get paid, is to make you the hero.
Well, you do a good job of it.
Thank
I know
you
you've
very
definitely
much.
saved myself and my brother a few times on a few ones there. So thank you so much for your time. Absolutely appreciate it. Thank you for tuning in. And thank you for joining us for Across the Case. Or I guess there's no case, but we are at Stuller at the Bridge event. And so if you have any questions about the event or would like to learn any more about what we talked about, just send us an email and we'll get you fixed up on it.